Welcome back, grade 9s. In this session, we're going to look at determining the equilibrium point in the market. Now, what is the equilibrium point? In short, in the market, the equilibrium point is where supply is equal to demand. So, in other words, the number of products supplied to the market is equal to the number of products demanded by the client or the consumer. So, I'm back with my Twiggles chips. And let's quickly see over there on the board. I've just drawn up now a combination of the supply schedule and the demand schedule that we've discussed in the previous session. So let's just have a look. I've got 6 Rand, 5 Rand and 4 Rand. And then if we look at the supply schedule first, at 6 Rand, and the supplier, I as the teacher, was happy to supply 30 packets of chips to the class. At 5 Rand, I was only prepared to supply 20 packets of chips. And at 4 Rand, 10 packets of chips. So that is our supply schedule. On the other side, or next to that, we have the demand schedule. So this is now how many students were prepared to buy a packet of chips at a specific price. So at 6 Rand, only 10 students said that they are willing to pay 6 Rand for that packet of chips because they are really hungry and they like the Twiggles. At 5 Rand, we had some more. 20 students said, yes, that's a good price. I'm prepared to pay 5 Rand for a packet of chips. And then at 4 Rand, almost the whole class said that's a very good price for these Twiggles chips. So 30 students demanded the Twiggles chips. So now let's go. Because we have two schedules there, we will have to combine them on one graph. So let's start with the supply curve and have a look. So at 6 Rand, the supplier was prepared to supply 30 packets of chips. So once again, you get your two values, and where they meet, you draw a little dot. That's 6 Rand at 30 packets at 6 Rand. At 5 Rand, the supplier was happy to supply 20 packets of chips. So you get them. You're obviously going to do it with your ruler, ne? And then at 4 Rand, 10 packets of chips. So more or less, yeah. Okay, so this is our supply schedule. So what we do, or supply curve rather. So what we do, we connect the dots, and this is our supply curve. Good, you can see it's got the positive slope or slant. Now we use the information on the demand, or for the demand schedule, and let's see what that looks like. Now we put ourselves in the students' shoes, and they obviously want to pay as little as possible for these chips. So at 6 Rand, the students only demanded 10 packets of chips. So where are we? 6 Rand and 10. So now you can see this one starts on this side. 10 packets of chips. Good. At 5 Rand, 20 students said they wanted to buy the packet of chips. So at 5 Rand, 20. And can you see there they connect over the supply curve? And at 4 Rand, lots of students said they wanted to buy the packet of chips, 30 of them. So it's more or less, yeah, over there. Okay, right. Good. So now we've plotted the values of the demand curve on the graph. So what we do is we combine, and this is then my demand curve. Okay, so now in fact, grade 9, you've already seen where the equilibrium point is. The equilibrium point is where supply and demand is exactly the same. The point is exactly the same. In other words, we can say that there is no surplus or deficit in the market with regards to product supply at the equilibrium point. We can say that's exactly at the point where the number of products supplied meet the number of products demanded. So where is our equilibrium point? And we normally indicate that with an E. If I ask you to explain to me what is the equilibrium point of this on this graph, then it would be 20 packets of chips at 5 Rand each, and that is our equilibrium point. If you look at the schedule that was given, you can clearly see that at 6 Rand there was a surplus of 20 products. 30 was supplied, but only 10 was demanded. At 5 rand, can you see that there's no surplus or deficit? It's exactly the same, and that's why 5 rand, 20 packets of chips at 5 rand is then our equilibrium point. And then if we go to the last one at 4 rand, only 10 packets were supplied, but there was a demand for 30. So my deficit, and that's why I'm putting it somewhere in red, my deficit is then 20 packets of chips. There's a shortage in the market. So from what we've seen now, you must be able to determine the equilibrium point. So I can either give you a schedule where I indicate supply and demand and ask you to draw the supply curve and the demand curve and then determine where the equilibrium point is. But guys, you can see that very, very clearly. Even if you don't have this, from your schedule, you can very easily see where is your equilibrium point. Now, 20 packets of chips at 5 rand. Now also we know that this is not as easy in real life, in the real market, because who's counting and whatnot. But this is just an illustration to tell you and to show you what equilibrium point looks like and how we can determine it if we are given a set of data or information. I really hope that this helped you, and I know that you'll be able to determine the equilibrium point if that comes up in a question.